www.theleaguefantasyfootball.wordpress.com. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook at The League Podcast and on Twitter at The League Pod. All of our podcasts will be posted on SoundCloud at The League Podcast as well.
Are you ready? Oh, I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Let's do this.
Let's do this thing, man.
The League Podcast.
Yeah.
How's it going, Jay?
Doing great, brother. Good morning.
Good morning. How's it going, everyone? Obviously, we first and foremost wanted to say we back.
We back, baby.
We back, and obviously with work, it's been a little tough with our schedule, but we every day talk about it and talk about how this summer we're really going to go hard, especially with the college football and the combine, and really making sure that we get you all the good information on the Young Bucks right away, and then go from there. But today we really wanted to jump straight into things. We wanted to talk about the Week 15 matchups and what we like and what we don't like out of some players. Whether it be a star, whether it be a player who has a great matchup that potentially could boom for you, but there is that risk of a bust. So we'll just kind of be shooting back and forth some questions towards each other on each matchup, and just talking about what we think will be significant in your matchup, whether it's positive or negative.
No doubt. I can't believe it's already the end of the year.
Yeah,
this is crucial time, and like Dill said, this is make it or break it for it's win or get eliminated at this point.
Yeah,
so
win or go home.
Even if you got a guy like you would think an every week starter, maybe this is the week matchup base that you got to play somebody that you wouldn't necessarily play on every week if your starting guy has a bad matchup, and you could take advantage of it and boom and go to that next round, which would be the championship. We're in the semifinals.
Yeah. This is for the ship.
Yep.
And,
this is the
Well, yeah. Well, like to get into the ship, I should say.
Is that semifinals? Semis.
Yep.
We're here. It's time. So
yeah. How'd you do in your leagues, by the way, Jay?
I didn't do as well as I wanted, to be completely honest. I had injuries all across the board. I had, a couple leagues where I got to the first round and thought I'd do great, easy peasy, and then got eliminated the first round. I had a bad week last week in most of my leagues, so that hurt. But I'm still in the run for a championship, so that's good, and I'm confident we actually play each other this week that one.
Yeah,
so
we do.
my team too. It's funny because that's my worst team out of every league, and of course. And I shouldn't say worse. Look what they've done for me.
I know.
I would think, whatever, if it's name-wise or what you would think is the best, that this league that we're talking about has a bunch of guys that I've just pieced together. Besides my core, I got Lamar Jackson, Christian McCaffrey, and Aaron Jones. The rest of my team is waiver wireable, literally. But have gotten this far from those three, no doubt.
Yeah, I've streamed quarterbacks like a mug in that league, and obviously it's
one
great.
of my favorite things to do.
I'm in first place in that league. I was 11-2, and I was just with a bunch of different quarterbacks all year, and same thing, injuries across the board. I had Devontae Adams, who I drafted in the first round or second round. That was out for multiple weeks, so that obviously hurt. But I did have DJ Chark, picked him up early on in the year, and he definitely stepped up for me in that round of time. And now Michael Thomas, Devontae Adams, they're going to take me to the ship.
Feasting. And, just to touch base on my seasons again, I don't know what it was. Actually, I do know what it was with me. I traded more in this season, more than any of them combined. I literally had the needle so deep, as we like to say, when it comes to trading. Like, I couldn't stop. I was fiending.
Yeah, I was shocked by a lot of your trades.
I was dealing and wheeling and flipping and dipping. And, I think that proved to hurt my season at the end for two of the leagues at least, because I was just kept going. So, but it is what it is, and I just get so excited about fantasy season, and I love trading, so I just keep going. Anytime someone talks to me, I'm like, let's roll. All right, let's talk. What do we got going? Obviously, it has to make sense, but anyhow, how about you? You did pretty decent this year.
Yeah, out of 5 leagues.
I guess you
playoffs in 3.
You had all ends of the spectrum this year.
Yeah, so it was tough. I didn't make the playoffs in 2 of them.
And not only did you not make the playoffs, you had rough seasons.
Oh yeah, well no, just one rough season, and it was in our 6.9 league.
Oof.
And
3 wins.
3 wins.
Sorry to put that on the table.
It's all right, but
damn.
5 of those losses were less than 5 points. So it was definitely tough just losing on those weeks by 5 or less, a couple 1-point losses.
We should do a segment of...
Yanni beat me in overtime with Tyler Lockett getting a negative 4-yard catch, but he got 0.6 and he beat me by 0.2.
Let me tell you, if I had $1 for the amount of times I heard this story already
Oh
this
man,
year, I'd be rich.
Oh man, I just can't believe it. In overtime, I would have beat them if they would have just made the field goal. But anyways, there's a lot of things that didn't go my way. Obviously, Juju being drafted in the second round, that'll hurt you.
Yeah.
Drafting Todd Gurley in the first round, that'll hurt you.
Hey,
now
he
he's
could
picking it
win
up.
you
I
a
knew he
ship,
would.
maybe.
He's going to in my other league. But
I mean, that is if he even was able to get you there.
yeah, 6.9 league. I'm happy I didn't get last. We obviously have to.
Yeah, the one league where we have a punishment for last place, Dylan happens to do his worst out of any of them, which is just, of course. It was if it wasn't you, it was me.
Yeah,
one of us.
But my
was
team went
gonna be
off
down there.
last week, so I played, and now I'm in the consolation bracket. So I won. So it's impossible for me to get last place now. And not only did I win, but I won. I probably doubled the guy's points last week, so it was a great win. I scored like 150 or something. I wouldn't beat anyone in that league.
I was thinking we should do a little segment at once a week or whatever, or every week, to see just like who in our leagues had the closest games and what that win was by, because we've seen it less than a point. I mean,
Multiple
everyone
times.
has, but it's just happened so much this year.
Taylor in our work league, it's been like 3 or 4 times.
Brutal. That guy hates fantasy football. Like, oh my gosh, I feel bad.
He has the
for him
worst luck.
sometimes. He did get a win last week, though. I don't know if you saw. I was all on it. But anyhow, that just hopefully caught y'all up to speed on kind of our fantasy season. I'm super excited though, like you were saying about getting into the
just want to say
off-season.
I'm second seed in keeper. Matt, congratulations, first seed. But tough week this week. But that's my bread and butter. That's my baby right there, that keeper league. And I've never won it. So
You're talking to a 2-time champ, but I definitely regret trading as much in that league. That was the one that I'm talking about. I have the record for most trades in that league this year, no doubt.
I don't know. Matt is right there with you.
True.
You guys got to check that out, because you and
True.
Matt, and then Brandon,
This would be
towards the end of the year, Brandon,
he stepped. All of a sudden, you can't even talk to that guy. You can't get a response, and now he's hitting everybody up across the board. But that's the beauty of keeper, because you think about rounds next year, picks, players, younger players.
Yeah. If you look at Brandon's picks this year, he's loaded.
Oh yeah, he's smart.
Loaded. Yeah,
he's smart.
He's gonna have a good draft.
I was loaded. I played it like Madden. I was loaded, and then dealt my loaded picks to get more players, and then injuries happen. But anyhow, love keeper league. So excited to keep that guy rolling. That's for sure the best league. If you guys are not in like a dynasty keeper league, I highly recommend it.
So awesome.
It makes you just if you love fantasy football, you just love it even more, because it's your squad, and not only that, the decisions you have to make if you only have 2 keepers or 1 keeper, and how that plays out.
Yeah,
it's a cool. I love it. I love the scenario.
Me too, man. It's fun. But let's get into the week 15 matchups and talk about who we think will win your league this week and who will lose you this week if you play them. So obviously we got the Thursday night matchup: New York Jets at Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, there's some obvious plays. You're never going to bench Lamar Jackson, but
at Baltimore.
Yeah, at Baltimore. The one I would say a big question mark to me, though, is that running game. New York Jets are very stout against the run. We have Mark Ingram. Last week, Mark Ingram didn't have the best game. So what do you think? Would you start Mark Ingram this week as a, RB1?
So I think as an RB1, no, he's an RB2 all day. But I think depending too who you have on your bench or who's in your flex at that running back position, if it's matchup based, if they got a good
Mustard or Ingram?
Love Raheem. Who do the 49ers play again?
Oh, they got Atlanta.
So
that's shred them.
I think in that position. I mean, I would go with him. Mustard over. And it just sucks because we're going off Shanahan, probably throwing a smoke screen. Maybe not probably, but Mustard's
Breida's going to have a big game.
Proving it, and he seems to be that guy. And they're a run-first, run-heavy team. So Mustard, and so is Baltimore for that matter. I like both, honestly. But I think Mustard has the edge if you're looking at the two, just because Lamar Jackson just does so much for that offense, So
who on the Baltimore offense do you think is must start?
Not a must start, but I have an itch that I don't know if you've seen.
So sleeper?
Not necessarily sleeper. I think Hollywood might go off due to Mark Andrews might not play. He's been limited at practice. He might not even have to look. Let me check while I'm looking at this. But what that being said, Hollywood's had 2 down weeks, coming off a 2 touchdown game 2 weeks before that. I think this is the game, his get-right game with Lamar Jackson. And,
No Jamal Adams on the Jets defense. He's out.
That already a huge plus. So I do think Hollywood burns that Jets D for 1, maybe 2, and maybe even looking at 150 plus. So
Wow, okay.
I think it's a good week to start him, no doubt. And
so Hollywood Brown.
And let me backtrack a little. Mark Andrews is expected to play. Of course, these thing yesterday he didn't play. He wasn't going to play. Today he's playing. But either way, he's going to looks like be banged up like he's been banged up all year. So like I said, I like Hollywood as a sneaky flex this week.
What about Mark Andrews? You think he's playable?
If he's playing, I would play him, but I'd be very cautious. Like if I have a Hunter Henry, which I do, I have Mark Andrews and Hunter Henry. I'm more comfortable playing Hunter Henry over a banged up Mark Andrews this week because let's be honest, Nick Boyle's very capable. They have other tight ends there. I believe they have Hayden Hurst too, who are
stepped up
capable. They don't necessarily. Mark Andrews is a baller, but if they're so locked in the playoffs, they need Mark Andrews. I could see Mark Andrews taking a limited role this week and relying on Hollywood and Mark Ingram and Lamar to get it done.
Yeah, no, I could see that. Do you think it's a blowout? Do you think anyone on the New York Jets are playable?
Who's interesting to me, and it's disappointing to me at the same time, is Robbie Anderson.
Yeah.
Of course, he always does this to me. I went out and got him everywhere I could. I traded for him in places, and then 2 to 3 weeks, he does nothing. Jamison Crowder's the guy. And now Robbie, of course, the last 3 weeks, he's putting up touchdowns. He's not maybe lighting up the fantasy board, but, Darnold's looking his way, and Robbie to me is an interesting play.
Yeah, okay. Let's move on to that Chicago at Green Bay game.
And really quick, Joe, the Jets run game. Is Lev Bell playing this week?
I believe he is.
If he is, are you playing obviously you are, but he's coming off a week where he didn't play.
It's tough.
Are you playing Lev?
I mean,
that's a tough
you
defense.
probably have to. You probably have to because he is your running back 1. But if you have depth and good matchups with those other players, then that's what you got to look at. So, if I've got Lev Bell, say with Chris Carson and
Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram and Chris Carson and Lev Bell. Say you have those 3.
I would probably go with Lev Bell. Mainly because I do think Baltimore gets up on the Jets and they have to throw the ball, and Lev could end up with 5+ catches. So obviously we pay PPR. That's always good points. And if they get in the red zone, they're probably going to go to him. They're going to try to give him the ball, and everyone keeps saying they're going to trade him. So why not run him to the ground?
Well, he's saying he's not getting enough touches as is. So they need to get on him, get on his back, or just fucking ship him off. But anyhow, let's get on to the next one. So.
Yeah, Chi-Town at Green Bay.
Well, sit all your Bears, players. I'm just kidding. I think this would be a good game, divisional game. Super excited about it.
It was tough.
Packers already running that division, so I'm not even worried at all. Bears.
Chicago has been hot though.
Yeah, they are. They're sitting out. They have a winning record. They're 7-6, and
they're still in the hunt.
They're very capable to make to be in the playoffs. So.
And the way that Green Bay played last week against the Redskins?
Yep.
If they play flat like that, Chicago's been hot. There's definitely potential for.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying there's definitely potential for a closer game than I think most people are expecting.
And the Packers. There's something about Khalil Mack and Aaron Rodgers that just scares the crap out of me. So that defense in general is good. It's a solid defense, and it's always a clash. But I think our offense is running the ball really good. Obviously, Aaron Jones and the Packers are doing that right. So that
obviously
being
Aaron
said,
Jones must start this week.
100%. And he's one of those guys that, in my opinion, he's had 4-point games. We know that, but there's no way you can put him on the bench because any week he's putting up 150 and 2 to 3 touchdowns and 5 catches. He's Alvin Kamara-esque. A year ago, in my opinion. I'm a big. Obviously, I don't want to be too biased. I hope all of you think the
4th running back in the league right now. So we obviously know what he can do, and he's catching a lot of passes.
What I'm really interested in is where the hell is he going to go in the draft next year? He's playing like a 1st-round pick right now?
Mike is going to keep him.
Yeah, and I'm pissed.
He's come out and told me he's going to keep
her. I traded Aaron Jones, so. But it was for Aaron Rodgers. But anyhow, we don't need to get into all that. And that's not the whole trade. I got Stephon Diggs. And anyhow, but
okay, let me ask you: are you starting Aaron Rodgers this week? Not as a Packers fan.
And I think it's if you have Aaron Rodgers on your team, do you even have a backup quarterback? You know,
Probably not anymore.
And so at this point, I think
let me ask
you're
do you
starting.
stream like a Ryan Tannehill this
Love
week
it.
over Aaron Rodgers?
The Titans are in a position right now where they have to win. I think Tannehill is going to put that team on. I mean, and Derek. I do think Tannehill is a great play this week, and I would play him.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And then going over to Chicago side of the ball, Green Bay has not been good against the run, and David Montgomery's been getting pretty hot on the ground.
So we should be asking you this, Dill.
Okay.
Because I know, and I hope you're not biased. Maybe you should be asking me this, but, do you think David Montgomery has over 85 yards and a touchdown going into this week? Without being biased, honestly, 85 yards.
It really depends on game script. If the game's closer, like I think it's going to be, I think he'll do well. But there is a chance that the Packers whoop on the Bears. There really is a chance. If the Bears come out flat, like they were a couple weeks ago, they're going to get embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
But, if they play like they have been, and they're hot, and when you get hot, you usually stay hot, So that's why I do think if that's the case, then David Montgomery is a good play. As a flex, maybe RB2, because once again, a lot of people dropped him, and he was picked up in a lot of leagues. So, but he is the 22nd ranked running back, so he's in that RB2 range,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not playing him. I'm not playing him in any of my leagues. I have him in every single league. But I am stacked at running back mostly. It's like I got Todd Gurley, Melvin Gordon in one league, Todd Gurley, Melvin Gordon, and Nick Chubb in the other league. So now I'm just trying to figure out, do I put him in a flex? Well, we look at that CTE league that we're in. I have David Montgomery and Tariq Cohen.
Mm-hmm.
And I have Tariq Cohen in right now over David Montgomery. I still don't know what I want to do there. But, Tariq Cohen has been more of like a receiver for the team, so he's catching, 5+ passes. Then he gets some of those runs. And David Montgomery's been getting 20+ carries, So
What did David put up 20+ last week
No.
too? Because, to me last week it looked like Mitchell actually looked like old Mitchell Trubisky. Was able to find some ways to get out of the pocket and make stuff happen. And that's where Tariq Cohen obviously thrives because he just lines up with him and he'll just dump it off to Tariq. And I'd go Tariq over David Montgomery this week. And that's just my opinion. But David Montgomery's he's just so touchdown dependent. Even if he puts up 85 yards, that's 8 points, obviously 8.5 points. He needs that touchdown to thrive. And to me, this could very well be a defensive game. This is two strong defenses.
Yeah,
Packers
absolutely.
have played really strong. Had their games where they definitely didn't, but injuries happen, and obviously we know what the Bears bring. So I could see this game being a very run-heavy game where David is putting up 20 touches, not 20 points, but and Aaron Jones is obviously doing the same. So I could see this being a quick game because of how much they're running the ball.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And that's why it's like one of those situations that I don't really want to play either of them.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I really don't.
And then, like Allen Robinson, obviously you're starting. You probably are every week, and
He's earned that respect.
Yeah,
man.
and
He's been
then
balling.
a little report came out that Odell Beckham might be headed down to Wisconsin here, maybe going into next season. So that'll be interesting to watch out for. Devontae Adams trying to recruit him. Obviously Devontae Adams is the only guy you're starting on Green Bay. You're getting crazy if you're starting MVS or Lazard for that matter, even though I'd love to, but it's just not there, and it'd be a run-heavy game. It even might not be a high game for Devontae, but I do think Devontae gets on the board here and scores a TD.
He's a must-start every week.
Yeah, no doubt. So what do we got next? We got Denver
at KC.
at Kansas City. That's going to be...
Okay, so we had Drew Lock shred the Houston Texans.
How many people picked up Drew Lock this week to start and play? Because that's a nice game, in my opinion. I think Pat Mahomes puts up points, and I think Drew Lock tries to match it. I could see a back-to-back 3-touchdown game out of Drew Lock. I'm calling it.
Wow, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you think he's a big sleeper this week, huh?
100%.
Okay. So daily fantasy more so than regular fantasy.
I think Drew Lock will have more fantasy points than Aaron Rodgers. I think, I think he's going to try and match Pat Mahomes' play, and I could see.
Okay,
I could see
obviously
TDs.
Cortland Sutton, you're starting.
Love it.
Noah Fant. Where is he ranked right now?
Okay, he balled last week. I mean, if anyone started Noah last week, you probably won your matchup.
Hot. He's been hot.
I mean, not balled. I guess I thought he did actually do more, but
he had a big play.
over 100 yards and a touchdown. only 4 targets, but he caught all 4, and that's very promising because, in my opinion, that's always been my downgrade on Fant is he drops balls. But I love Fant. I love Fant this week. I love what Drew Lock is a rookie quarterback. What do rookie quarterbacks do? They look for their tight ends. It's their safety blanket. I like Sutton. I like Fant a lot this week and Lock.
Okay.
That run game though, no idea. I really don't know who to trust. I'd probably give the edge to Philip Lindsay just because of that same Tariq Cohen bit and then probably playing from behind. But Denver also had a good week defensively last week. So it'd be interesting to see what that defense does. I'd probably, be interested.
Okay. What about KC? Obviously, what about that run game? Because obviously Pat Mahomes you're playing Tyreek Hill, you're playing Travis Kelce. The big thing to me was Spencer Ware led the backfield last week.
Mm-hmm.
And Darwin Thompson was mixed in, and LeSean was mixed in. I had Darwin and Spencer hoping for something to break out. Didn't happen. I dropped them both. I don't even really want to mess with either of them. I don't want to mess with any of them.
Damian Williams actually returned to practice. So with that being said, I'm staying completely out of that scenario. I doubt Damian's even going to really do much, obviously, because he's been out, but he's cleared for Sunday and he's going to be playing. So with that being said, Damian Williams is possibly a flex too, because any play he could take one. So anyhow, I'm not touching that backfield. I do like everybody else, though, in that offense and what they could do.
What about Sammy Watkins? 8 targets last week. Only caught 4 of them for 50 yards. It's not bad.
It's not bad, but
he's playing New England.
I'd look at it defenses. Like, obviously, who do you have in your flex? So, like, if you have a John Brown, so say you have John Brown and Sammy Watkins, who are you feeling more comfortable playing in your flex or wide receiver too?
John Brown.
Yeah, smoke.
Just because he's been more consistent this year compared to Sammy Watkins.
Mm-hmm. That's where I'm at with Sammy is I just can't trust him, so I don't ever feel comfortable playing him.
Yeah.
And
so
that's that Buffalo-Pittsburgh game, I think, is about to be a shootout, in my opinion. And I could see Smoke doing some work.
I don't know. It could be a low-scoring game, too.
2 good defenses, but I just feel like they're both so hungry to get that win that I could see a lot of scores. We got Juju coming back. I know you love him. We got James Conner coming back. I know he won a lot of people games and also lost a lot of people games.
No, but it's one of those things we talk about. Are you starting them on their week back? I'm not.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that game, but I just do.
Just saying, I don't.
The comparison there for, depending on Smoke or Sammy Watkins, John Brown.
All right, let's move on to the next game. Who do you got, Denver or KC? You got Drew Lock balling, so
yeah. I think Pat Mahomes wins this game. Okay. They're at KC. It's a hard place to play, especially for a rookie. I just think that he can put up stats, and he's going to do his best to do that. And KC gives up points, so I can see it happening.
Real quick, Chicago or Green Bay?
Come on. What about you, though? Honestly,
I'm going Green Bay.
I hope
they're home. I think A-Rod's got it.
Hard to win at Lambeau. That's
what about Jets? Baltimore? You're going Baltimore, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. Tampa Bay at Detroit. Ooh. No Mike Evans. Chris Godwin. Cha-ching.
Balls.
Cha-ching. Brashad Perryman.
I've been reading a lot of don't get him, don't grab him. It's a smoke screen. He balled last week, and every time I watch him play, he has sticky fingers this year.
Yeah, he's been playing.
I don't know what it is
because I have Jameis in multiple leagues, so I've been watching.
Yeah, and he catches everything I've been seeing thrown his way. I would start Brashad Perryman this week, and there's no doubt about it. So if you're reading otherwise, and once again, it's all who you have as your other flex. If you're in a desperation mode, that's when you're playing him, I should say. But I do like the matchup, and he's so fast that any defense, dude, he could just say bye-bye to. So, love that upside. And Jameis loves to throw the ball. So, that's crazy. Jameis could lead the league in passing yards, lead the league in touchdowns, and lead the league in interceptions. Yeah. All it's crazy.
He's the number 6 quarterback in fantasy right now.
Yeah. But it's insane. How could you be doing so well, but I guess, I shouldn't say so bad. Just interceptions doesn't mean you're doing bad if you're winning games.
Yeah, but it's gonna be an easy matchup for him, but he is in a cast.
Precautionary.
Yeah, precautionary. He's practicing, but not playing with the ball. It's definitely it's tough for me because I've got him, and I also got Tannehill. So I'm looking at both of them. I'm loving Tannehill. I'm loving Jameis Winston. I just don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to do Tannehill because of obviously Drew Lock shredded the Texans defense last week, so I'm pretty sure that Tannehill's going to have some fun over there too. Um, Anyone on Detroit you're starting? Marvin Jones obviously is now out for the year.
Kenny G obviously
Kenny
start.
G's must start. Anyone else?
What about? I mean, for me, Kenny G is the only guy I'm really starting. Danny Amendola is a interesting. Obviously now with
Mike Evans hurt.
Mike Evans.
Sorry, Marvin Jones.
Sorry, Marvin Jones. Sorry, we got a beautiful view. There's dolphins out in the out in the yonder. Had a peekaboo. But yeah, I think Danny Amendola every week. I'm always like, God, is he a sneaky? You know, he could put up some points, but I do think obviously with MJ Jr. done for, which sucks. Sad to hear. But and then what I wanted to ask you is that running game, Dill. Anybody from that run game on the Lions you're starting?
No.
No,
Absolutely not. I did forget to ask you about OJ Howard. What do you think about him? Last week he had a pretty nice
I like
week.
it. I think Jameis gets the ball in OJ's hands, of course, when I don't have him anymore, and then I think back to Tampa Bay's side. Obviously, what about are you doing Rojo or Peyton Barber?
Neither.
Who do you like more though? Who should you? Because there's plenty of guys out here with Ronald Jones on their bench that would love to start him in their flex probably, but
What
aren't.
did he do last week?
Well, Peyton Barber, I think, had the better week.
Again?
I'm pretty sure. Could be wrong, though.
Yeah, Rojo, 9 points.
Oh, okay.
So not bad. With how much points they scored, I would love to see more on his points.
Yeah, but that's just
They
air
both
raid.
got the same touches.
Yep. So, I mean, like you said, don't think
tough.
you're starting either if you
But,
don't
they
have
keep
to.
saying that Rojo's a starter, so, you got to play into that too. So, if I had to choose one, it'd probably be Ronald Jones.
Yeah. I agree.
Who you taking? Tampa Bay or Detroit?
Tough to say. I'm going to go Tampa Bay.
Me too.
I think their offense is hot. I think Godwin has a 30-point game, honestly. And I think they get it going. Even though they're at Detroit, that's just what's tough for me is Detroit, obviously everyone at home plays better. So, but I'm going Tampa Bay on the road.
Me too. Miami at New York Giants. Eli Manning.
Yeah,
Quarterback won this week?
Is he playing again?
That's what I said. That's what it says.
So I got a better question for you. You playing your boy Darius Slayton? Like once again, let's put it in a perspective of you got John Brown or let's change it up. You got a Jamison Crowder and a Darius Slayton.
Slayton all day.
Slayton all day. Slayton, John Brown.
Slayton all day.
Slayton, Sammy Watkins.
Slayton.
Okay.
Yeah. Obviously, Slayton's the last 4 weeks has scored double-digit points, a couple of 30s, a couple 10s.
Sure.
So it's looking like 10 points is the bottom you're going to get, the least amount of points you're going to get at this point, 30 being the most. I'll take that risk on 30 in playoff week against Miami, who's been getting shredded through the year.
So how about for all the people that have Golden Tate? Can you play Golden Tate, or are you all in on the Slayton train and saying...
Well, I have Sterling Shepard in a couple leagues, and I would rather play Darius Slayton.
Over Shepard?
Over Shepard.
Wow.
Yeah, I would play him over Shepard.
Shepard did have an end zone target, didn't get it with Eli. I think Eli is comfortable throwing to Sterling Shepard. I think Sterling
he loves
is...
to throw to Sterling.
I think Sterling is a start in my book. I'd start Sterling over Slayton. I would be on the other end of that spectrum, Dill. I'd argue that.
Well, we'll see this week. Golden Tate.
I think Golden Tate falls right, under both of them in my book. But any week that guy could just go off.
Yeah,
he came
like
back
week,
so
2
strong.
points.
I know, but then
2
the
points.
last
Green Bay.
couple weeks he's just been
hurt.
He's just been
Pretty very
useless.
consistent. Yeah, but he's banged up right now. His foot's hurt, so he might not even play.
So that'll be interesting. You got Slayton, I got Shepard. I think both are starts against Miami, even with Eli Manning at the Roman.
Yeah.
And
Okay, let me ask you: Debo, Samuel, or Slayton? I guess you're not as high on Slayton as I am.
no. I love Slayton too. Don't get me wrong. Watching him play, he's incredible. There's nothing not to like about him. But
Samuel's got a great matchup against Atlanta, so I definitely could see. I'm in a predicament. I have Amari Cooper, Debo Samuel, and Slayton.
Mhm.
And honestly, at this point, I don't even know who to play because I want to play Debo, I want to play Slayton,
Mhm.
and I don't want to play Amari. So,
Well, then play them both and don't play Amari.
well, I have DeAndre Hopkins, so I
see.
can't play two of those. And
Who's
I
in your
have
flex?
Nick Chubb.
The Chubb train.
So-
So that is a tough predicament. I honestly, man, yeah, I don't know.
I have Debo in right now.
How many points did Debo put up last week? Because Emmanuel went off.
Emmanuel did go off, and Debo,
Did he put up less than 10?
he had 15.9.
He did.
He did.
I'm rocking Debo, man.
Dude.
He's so consistent. He's
19,
so good.
21, 13, 14, 15.9.
Forget about it.
Yeah,
You
Debo's
know,
been balling.
what concerns me, the only thing that concerns me about this week with the Giants is it could be all Saquon. Like,
Oh, for sure.
They're
I
playing
hope not.
Miami.
I'm playing
so,
Saquon.
I know, right? But like, they could get up by 2 really quick, and it just be like, let's get the hell out of Miami. So,
Yeah.
or they're in New York for that matter.
But Miami has been competitive.
Yeah.
They have been.
Fitzmagic,
Let's talk about Miami now. Fitzmagic. He's a fighter, man. But Devontae Parker's still in concussion protocol.
Yeah.
Allen Hurns is banged up, might not play. So Gesicki, is he a play?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fitz loves him, and I'm
What about your boy Patrick?
I'm his biggest fan. I would start him in my flex if I had to, obviously. In any league, no doubt about it. He's consistent. He's put up double-digit points the last few weeks, and he's their guy. He's getting double-digit touches every week too. So you just can't. You can't. I don't know. You can't steer away from touches. So I'm going with him. That guy's hungry too, and a competitor. They all compete on that offense. And if Devontae Parker's playing, I love Devontae. I think
Yeah,
it's
he's been
an
balling.
easy. It's a
I
must
hope
start.
he plays. If he plays, they win.
I
If he
agree.
plays, they win. If he doesn't, I don't know. This could go so many ways because they don't have any receivers
Yeah.
to throw to. So
Could be the Gesicki show and the Laird show.
yeah,
But that could be them just shitting the bed, honestly, and like I said, the Giants just running away with it and
well,
getting.
they're
them
already
out of
talking
Dodge.
about firing their coach, so I could see drama stirring up
In Miami?
New York.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh yeah,
Pat
Pat.
Shurmur,
He should have left a year ago.
So I think that they might just lose out, and just because all this talk and Sherman will get fired after this week, losing to
It'd
Miami.
be really interesting though.
Miami's gonna party hard.
They're gonna get a top pick again.
Yeah.
I can't wait for
Top
the
pick with a new coach and a new GM.
Mhm.
Do they go with a freaking Jerry or
Jerry Judy.
or what about a Joe?
I think they
But what if the new head coach and
but
GM come in just like Josh Rosen? Josh Rosen was first round draft pick.
I don't know.
Traded the
I
following
feel
year.
like it was more the owner that wanted that Daniel Jones pick than anyone. So
Okay.
I could see
If that's the
see
case.
them rocking Daniel, and building it around Daniel. They invested. I mean, they invested what was it, second overall pick
Yeah,
or
6 or something.
was it it was a 6. I'm sorry. I was thinking the year before where they got Saquon's second, but they invested way too high of a pick in him to just move on from him. But just happened to Josh Rosen. Don't get me wrong, but
Probably won't. He looked good, but he didn't win any games. It's about winning.
yeah, I think they get the best skill player on the board out of that offense, and or not even. What if they simply added that offensive line with one of their first top picks to just help Daniel Jones out and Saquon
Or
for
their
that matter.
defense. Their defense has been getting shredded.
And
They
everybody-
could use a top
They
defense.
just got Leonard Williams too. Imagine adding another top pass rusher to that defense. Like that's
Well, they have Dexter Lawrence, a first round pick.
yeah. Oh my gosh, he's a rookie too.
Yeah.
Jeez, man,
So
their
they're
defensive
young.
line.
Yeah.
And look what the
Maybe a
Niners have done.
linebacker if there's a top guy out there, even a corner. They need a corner.
And
That's
it's
where
all
they're
gonna
really
it's all
hurting.
gonna depend where they're at in the draft and
Yeah.
who's out there. But I'm we get too excited about the offseason, obviously. Anyhow, so you got Dolphins if Parker plays. Otherwise, you got Giants.
I think so.
I got Giants. I did say I agree with you about Parker, but I think at the end of the day, I think Giants do take this one home. I think Eli gets a win. I think he makes up for that loss that he took last week
Yeah,
because
he'll
he was
prep hard.
close. Yeah.
He'll prep hard. Philadelphia at Washington. Fun fact: Dwayne Haskins, since taking over the starting job in Week 9, has been ranked the 17th. He's the 17th ranked quarterback in the league.
Monster. I mean, he's
So,
not a monster.
I mean,
but
that's you would say average, but
Yeah.
a lot better than what people are putting out to be
with a I mean,
with the scary Terry.
Scary, but a subpar. That offense is nothing crazy. They got nothing.
No.
Scary Terry is their
Well,
bright
now
star.
with Guy Sal, is Adrian Peterson a start?
Yeah, I mean not a start, but I think he's a arguable flex, and their matchups pretty hard in my opinion. I mean their run defense is pretty stout. So
Philadelphia has not looked great. They did win last week in overtime. They did just lose Alshon Jeffrey for the year, so that's a huge hit.
And what about their one of their offensive linemen? I'm having a brain
Lane
fart.
Johnson?
Thank you,
Yeah.
Lane. I hope he's
Just
all
yelled.
right.
I'm sorry.
What's that?
Said I just yelled.
That's all right. But Lane Johnson is a huge piece of that offense. Obviously, I mean, and he just got paid too.
Yeah, he did.
So it'll be really tough to get anything going without that offensive lineman in there.
Okay, let me ask you something. Miles Sanders or Boston Scott?
Boston,
Dude.
B. Scott was coming out when he wanted to last
Fire.
game. He was tapping Miles Sanders like, all right, you can come in now. I was so impressed with him. But
He's
every
only
time
2%
Miles
owned.
Sanders was on the field though, he's so explosive.
He is.
He's so explosive that
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, like that's a really tough call to me. I don't think I would have the huevos to start Boston Scott over Miles Sanders, and honestly, I don't think I would.
I might get crazy
But I
I'm gonna
loved
get
what I
crazy.
saw about Boston.
in one of my leagues.
You're gonna start him?
I'm going to start him in the league.
I love it. That's
First, I'm going to
huevos.
start him.
That's a bold move right there. So you're starting him. Obviously, you're recommending starting him.
I think he's a big boomer bust.
But okay, over the two, are you starting Miles or Scott? Just like you asked me.
Well, at first I was going to start Miles, but just watching Scott. But like you said, Miles Sanders was in for overtime the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
He almost scored the winning touchdown on a big play, but he got tackled at the 1 yard line, 2 yard line, whatever. So it is a tough call. In this league, I'm not going to be last, so I'm just going for, home run. But, I don't know. I don't know if I would go with Sanders. I still have a little more research to do. It's, right now I just want to get crazy, so I want to put Boston Scott in because he did great. So I think that he definitely earned himself some more reps. But Philadelphia needs to win. That's what it comes down to. They are going to use all their weapons as much as they can with Alshon being out. If Nelson Aguilar plays this week, that's a big deal. But if he doesn't, they're going to really have to rely on their running backs and their tight ends. And, Boston Scott, he caught 6 passes. That's what I love about him. He caught 6 passes last week and made the most of it. He had over 100 yards, total yards with a touchdown. Like he was in on that goal line carry.
Mm-hmm.
Sanders was back and, he ran hard, man. Like he's hungry. That's what I love about these young guys that get opportunity. Especially at this time of the year, they're fresh. Miles Sanders is banged up. Like at any given moment next week, Miles Sanders can go down, and Boston Scott just
owns it.
Owns it. Unless let's take it a step back. If Jordan Howard comes back this week, which is there's a chance of it. So, once again, there's a bunch of factors.
Where the hell has Ajayi been?
Yeah, he's been non-existent.
No. They signed him, and I haven't seen him play a single snap.
I think I saw him in there 1 play or 2 plays last week. Didn't even touch the ball. But,
really, but this is a huge game for the Eagles though because
Yeah.
they're tied in their division with the Cowboys. So if the Cowboys lose to the Rams, they jump into first place now or and locked
they
in
play
basically.
in 2 weeks, and it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a great.
Yeah, so
matchup.
that division's interesting.
Okay, so obviously Ertz start. What about Goddard? You starting him?
Mm-mm.
No.
Mm-mm.
Even with Alshon out.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's been. I would start him, and I would even possibly put him in my flex. Because I think that they're going to use him every play, and I think he has tons of opportunity against this Washington defense to do well.
Yeah.
Washington, I'm pretty sure, is pretty stout against the
Tight ends.
Tight ends, yes. So I'm lying. They actually are top 10 worst in the league for tight ends. So now that even makes me like him even more.
Yeah, I think it's Ertz, and I think they take off. I really don't think that Washington really competes with them in this game. I think I think Philadelphia knows. This is such a big game for them as opposed to Washington.
It is in Washington, and Washington wants to win with their quarterback. Their quarterback's hungry. He's hungry and he wants to win. So, and he played well against the Packers last week. So.
I love the Philadelphia run game this week. I just think that they're gonna try and get the hell out of there and run this game down to relying on those running backs and I guess those tight ends. So it's not to say that I wouldn't start Goddard. I would only start him if I absolutely had to.
Yeah.
And but no,
Well,
to
I
your
think
point,
he's a top 10 tight end.
good matchup, and they need the options out there. So it's I could be eating my
Like,
words.
I'd start him over Jack Doyle. I would start him over, with the Jared Cook going down, I would love to pick up Dallas Goddard and play him.
If you are in a position where Jared Cook went down, you got nobody else, 1,000%.
So he's definitely
because Goddard's out there. He's gonna be out there. It's gonna be someone you can grab. So I do like that, though, no doubt.
Okay, so what about who do you take? Obviously, Philadelphia.
I go on Philly.
Would you start Philadelphia's defense this week?
No, because like you said, they haven't been looking great, So this could be a game where Washington does compete and tries to win at home. I love Dwayne Haskins, so I really don't want to count him out ever. And Carson Wentz has looked like crap in my opinion for the most part. Inaccurate, not as mobile, obviously. So, who knows with these games? Washington at home, anything could happen. But I do think Philadelphia pulls it all together. They know how bad they'll need this. Doug Peterson is not going to lose this game, in my opinion.
Cool. I agree. I think Philadelphia will get it. New England at Cincy. Cincy's been fighting as of lately. New England hasn't looked great, but
Tyler Boyd, play your boy.
Yeah, player. So we'll talk with Cincy. Obviously, Tyler Boyd, you got to play him. Joe Mixon, you playing him against one of the top defenses.
100%.
Yeah, he's getting tons of opportunity.
I love Joe Mixon.
Yeah, me too. I wanted to trade for him. Mike Estep was pushing to trade for him and was like pretty much about to give him out for about nothing.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, talk to me.
If Joe Mixon was on another team, let's say, the Ravens for that matter, or something like Joe Mixon. I just want to put in I think Joe Mixon could be a top 10, a top 5 running back if he was even in a better position on a better team. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
The Bengals, I think are hurting Joe Mixon's ceiling. So
For sure.
I love Joe, and I hope they can continue to build around him going into the years because he's a baller.
Yeah. What about
even against the Patriots?
Obviously, I don't think there's any other Cincy player going to play on offense besides Tyler Boyd and Joe Mixon.
It sucks because Auden Tate had a run, Erickson had a run. I would love to be like, let's. You could throw one of them in, but you can't trust either one of them. And
IR now.
They're both of them?
I'm pretty sure.
Not
I
Erickson.
know Tate is.
Tate is, yeah, that's right. But Erickson, one guy that I had hope on, and he just doesn't. He can't start him. But yep, absolutely. New England. Let's flip to that side. Running back still. Let's start there. Obviously I know you like James White, and I think that would be an easy start this week. But the other guys, Sonny Michel, Rex Burkhead. Is there anybody even you're considering in that backfield besides James?
No, actually.
You would bench Sonny?
Yeah, I would.
In this matchup, even against Cincinnati?
7-4-6-8-4-1. How can you trust that?
Thank God I traded him away.
How could you trust that? Yeah, exactly. He had a run of 21, 13, 22.
Mm-hmm.
After that, nothing. So, no, I wouldn't play Sony. I would, play... Man, I would play Adrian Peterson over Sony. I would play, Denver's running backs over Sony.
Okay.
I'd play David Montgomery over Sony.
I like it. I don't like Sonny this week either, or for that matter, for the rest of the year. I traded him away for a reason, just because that backfield's ugly. But I think this will be an interesting game because New England's defense is solid, and but Bengals have been putting it together on offense. Andy Dalton wants to, I think, try and prove a point. So at home, Dill, Cincinnati Patriots. Are you taking Patriots still?
I am, yeah. I'm going to take Patriots. I don't think Tom Brady's going to let them lose. He hasn't looked great, but at the end of the day, he's a freaking winner. He knows how to win, and he knows how to manage the game and control the clock. So obviously they're going to try to run the ball. Even if they don't run the ball, though, they put James White in there and give him a little dump pass, and that's just like their run with James White. But I think that the Patriots will definitely win. I just don't know if who to start other than Julian Edelman for sure. He's a must start every week.
I'm loving what I'm seeing out of the young buck.
Jacoby?
No, I'm sorry. I'm having another brain fart. N'Keal Harry.
Oh, yeah, N'Keal Harry. Yeah.
N'Keal Harry has looked explosive. He looks like he's, a great possessional receiver as well. He got a touchdown robbed of him last week, and not robbed, but that's how it goes in football. It's a chess match. Bill Belichick called a challenge just before that play happened. His second challenge, which means he had no more challenges, and then on the very next play or 2 plays after, N'Keal Harry dives into the end zone, and they called it. He stepped out when in reality he didn't. So that sucks. But anyhow, that's somebody I'm really eyeing going into next year is N'Keal Harry, especially if Tom Brady's still there, obviously.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, he was a first-round pick. So.
But is he someone I'd start this week? Not comfortably. No. I agree.
Since he's actually been surprisingly pretty good against the pass. So I do think that, it is quite a big James White day. I would start him if I had him.
You do and you are.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys. It's like, do I start him or the Chicago running backs? I'm going to start him. But yeah, anyways, I got New England. You got New England?
Yep.
Seattle at Carolina.
But just on that, I think seeing Cincinnati could be a sneaky win in that game, honestly.
Yeah,
Patriots have been playing
fighting.
Not that well, and they're playing at home. But anyhow, let's move on. Seattle at Carolina, Dale.
Yes, sir.
Seattle, tough loss last week.
Yeah.
And, I don't think it's an issue with anything moving forward. I think that
it was a beautiful win for the Rams.
Yeah, no doubt. That was a great win. But I think Seattle wins this game, in
Chris
my
Carson
opinion.
absolutely must start. Top 5 player this week, in my opinion.
Against the Carolina Panthers.
Against Carolina. They have not been good against the run. Obviously, Tyler Lockett, are you playing him?
I am.
Yeah. I think once again you want that big boom or bust.
Yeah, and
it's a great matchup.
He's comfortable throwing it to him. He's gonna put it in his hands. DK I love as well. I'd start DK. Yeah, okay. I do. Sticky hands DK.
Yeah, he's definitely getting the rock, especially in the red zone. So that's always a positive. Anyone else? Jacob Hollister?
Yeah, I'd start Jacob 100%.
Over Dallas Goedert?
Yeah, 100%. Okay. Yeah, I like Jacob Hollister better than Goddard. But I like Jacob in general, and Russell loves his tight end, so I'm going with that.
Cool. What about Carolina? Obviously, Christian, you have to start every week.
Yeah, and
let's talk about those receivers.
The only guy I'd start is DJ.
Yeah.
Only guy I'd start. I have Curtis Samuel probably in two leagues on my bench just because it's one of those guys that I just don't trust all the time. So I trust in DJ Moore every week for at least 15. He's setting his floor at 15, which is exactly what I expect.
He's a top 10 guy to me every week. Top 10 receiver,
100%. So that's the only guy on that, and then I'm starting. And then for that game though, I see it being a high scoring game. I'm starting a lot of guys in that matchup, and this would be a week that I should kind of eat my words. And maybe Curtis Samuel is a decent option because of the scoring total.
Yeah, no, I think he definitely has a chance to have a big boom.
And get a touchdown.
Yeah. I'm taking Carolina. I think Carolina's going to take them at home because I'm being very biased and want the Seahawks to lose.
Yeah, I did the same. I'm not going to lie with that Tampa Bay Detroit game. But anyway.
I definitely think that Carolina, they're under the microscope, and they need to fight for their jobs at this point, especially Kyle Allen. He's got to really show that he's the future, So I could see him being at home once again, having a nice day. Let's go to the next game, though. Houston at Tennessee. This one is a big game. Big game. Obviously, for Tennessee, let's start there. Ryan Tannehill, we already talked about him. He's a top 10 guy, top 10 quarterback this week.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you, though. I saw you picked up A.J. Brown in at least a league, maybe 2. Would you play him this week? Against Houston's terrible defense.
I've been really looking into it, too. The weather this weekend is supposed to be ugly out there. And, of course, the week I pick him up, and this has happened 4 times this year.
Yeah.
Goes off, you pick him up, 2 weeks he does nothing, and then you drop him, and then
he's been pretty
goes
consistent the last couple of weeks.
He really has, and because Tannehill is playing at such a high level right now, I am trusting A.J. Brown to be in my flex or wide receiver 2 if I need to. Honestly, though, like in the league I got A.J. Brown, I really might need to play him. I have Devontae Parker as my starting receiver. So Devontae, if he doesn't play, I'm plugging in A.J. Brown. But that's that scenario type basis. Mm-hmm. Due to also, like I said, the weather. Obviously, if it's pouring rain there, it's not going to be a very, pass-heavy game in my opinion. And we're going to be looking at a lot of Derrick Henry. So it's going to be pretty dependent on weather. But otherwise, I love A.J. Brown and someone I really love moving forward. But,
Yeah, no, I think so. Obviously, Corey Davis is someone that he is very, very inconsistent. I'm not touching him. Jonu Smith, he's definitely been he got a touchdown last week, which is always big, and he's been getting looked his way. The Tennessee offense has just looked great, but I don't know if
I don't know if you saw that touchdown, but Tannehill's playing really
Amazing.
well. That ball, he couldn't have missed it. The
No.
defense was all over him. He just put his arms here. It hit him in the chest in the end zone. It was Tannehill's looking really good.
Tannehill is hard to look away from. Even with the weather, he's running the ball. He's getting out of the pocket and he's waiting for people to get open. He's playing good football. So yeah, I would play Tannehill for sure.
So who you and then so on the back end of that on Houston's side, because I think I'm sorry. Besides, you're not playing Corey Davis?
No.
Thank you. Me neither. A.J. Brown's the only guy I'd consider. So back, obviously, Derrick Henry, you have to start. But back on the other side, Houston looking like crap. Houston, not what I expected out of them last week.
No.
And for the year, for that matter, But with that being said,
I think their one staple
they have an 8-5 record, and they're obviously running the South for that matter. So,
well, it's Houston and Tennessee. This is for the division this week, so it's a huge game. Huge game.
This is a ginormous game.
Yeah,
ginormous. So, and that's when goes back to the Michael Jordan of that draft. Deshaun Watson,
he plays well in games like this.
I think makes it work and outshines Tannehill and is a top 5, if not a top 3 fantasy play this week. Because, and once again, depending on weather, because
Tennessee's D's been pretty good.
If it's raining, it has, but Deshaun in my opinion, he can outplay some of the best defenses when it's those crucial times. He's so elite, and that offense has so many plays in the book. Like when they were rolling a couple weeks ago, Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins, they're running wide receiver option routes. It's just I think an explosive offense. When they need to win, they're gonna win. And I got Texans, and I'm starting. Obviously most of the people on that Texans. If Will Fuller's playing, I'd be really interested to play him. But those running backs still out of the two, Carlos or Duke Johnson, who are you playing?
Duke.
I'm going Hyde.
Just because I think it is a closer game. I think they'll be trying to score points, So I think they're going to put Duke in, and Hyde has been good, but he's kind of it's like the whole situation with Tariq Cohen and David Montgomery. Hyde needs a touchdown. He needs a touchdown to he'll get 80 to 100 yards, but that's 8 to 10 points. With no catches. So it's one of those situations that I don't want to play either of them, but if I'm having to choose, Duke is definitely down there on the rankings for me, as Carlos Hyde is higher, but I'm going with the matchup base of I think potentially Duke Johnson gets more points by catching more balls out of the backfield, especially if Will Fuller is not playing.
I do think if Will Fuller doesn't play, that definitely raises Duke's potential in my book. But I think I project Carlos Hyde to get in the end zone this week, and that's where I think he gets more points than Duke. So either way, though, it's an interesting flex for either one if you need that spot and you got injuries. So
are you going James White or Carlos Hyde?
I'd go James White. I think James White is definitely an easy flex in all leagues.
Kenyon Drake or Carlos Hyde?
That's a tough one. Arizona plays Cleveland. I definitely I think I would go. Who are the two?
Drake and Carlos Hyde.
Yeah, I'd go Hyde. I think he gets into the end zone, like I said, and Johnson only 3 carries last week, but then he scores a touchdown.
He got some catches though. Right?
Yeah, he scored, I think, a receiving touchdown is what it was. So with him starting to get back involved, it worries me about Drake. And like I said, I think Hyde gets into the end zone, so I'm going him.
Cool.
And so out of the two, Dill, who do you have in that game?
I got the Tennessee Titans taking it. You got Houston?
I got Houston winning this game and winning, advancing or having that division, owning it. Having that game.
I think Tannehill wins the division, and makes a run.
Wow, love it. I love the prediction.
As long as Derrick Henry stays healthy and he's running the way that the offense is running through him,
100%.
As long as he's doing what he's doing, Tannehill's going to be successful because it opens up so much for him, and that's where A.J. Brown's getting that one-on-one coverage, and he breaks one tackle, he's gone. He's like Deebo Samuel. They're very similar players. They're like running backs.
Deebo Samuel's like him.
Debo's been more consistent, so we'll go
He
with
has,
that.
no doubt.
So yeah, let's move on to the next one. Cleveland at Arizona. This is one of those games. Baker's all beat up. I was gonna start him because it was a great matchup, but I dropped him for I think a Tannehill or something like that because man, that offense is just all over the place.
It is. Do you think the Browns could have two 20-point receivers this week?
The Browns?
Mhm.
Yeah, because I think Jarvis is getting 20. Jarvis every week
So,
is
do
balling.
you think Odell gets 22?
Yeah. I mean,
And you're not starting
well,
big.
and that's the best case scenario, I should say. It's the best case scenario. Last week, going into Cincinnati, Cincinnati coming to them, big division matchup, being at home, I'm like, Baker's going to ball out. He didn't. It was a great matchup for him, and he did not do anything. Or I guess 13 points is better than the 9 that he put the week before.
Snoozers.
He's hard to trust.
And
In the
it
playoffs,
sucks with such an incredible matchup how you could kind of downplay him like this with such an elite offense. It's just unbelievable.
he's just been so inconsistent, So inconsistent. And like I said, Tannehill's been great, been so consistent. So I definitely would start Tannehill over him.
Mhm.
I'd start Jameis over him. They've got great matchups. I would start Jared Goff over Baker Mayfield this week, So that's saying a lot. Jared Goff is on every waiver wire that I can see,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do. With that being said, I think Arizona wins. I think Arizona ends up beating Cleveland at home. Kyler Murray, I think he is more startable.
Okay,
than-
because he hasn't played great the
he
last
hasn't.
couple
He
weeks.
hasn't. But
So you think a little get back game right here for
I do.
him?
I do.
They're at home.
They're at home.
Weather isn't a factor, obviously. So and with David Johnson kind of coming back into play, it excites me about that offense a little more. And it sucked last week. One of the playoffs I was in, have David Johnson on my bench, obviously. And granted, it's not like he would have won me the week,
Yeah.
but how sad a first round pick that you're sitting on your bench, who's playing your first week of the fantasy playoffs. That was devastating. Of course, I lost because that's just how it goes. But with that said, back to Arizona's side. Would you start David Johnson this week?
probably not.
No.
It's tough. It's really, really tough because Drake has been the lead back. He's been the lead back, and I love David Johnson. We all know my love for David Johnson.
It's your boy.
It was my boy, but I did make the decision to move on, and I'm happy I did.
He just said was. It's done.
I held on to him for how long?
It's done.
With how many injuries? With no IR spot. Like I was
Realistically,
dedicated.
only 2 years.
That's a long time. That's
Mhm.
2 seasons of your first round pick on
And,
your bench.
You
talk about
I was
that
gonna say-
first week of the playoffs. Try 2 years.
I was going to say, you had him all the years where he just did nothing for you.
No, the first year he set records.
Yeah, his rookie year. Or a year after his
Yeah, I
rookie
think
year.
I don't remember.
But
it was so long ago.
the 2 years, the last 2 years you had him,
Yeah,
right?
so I had him for 3 years. The first year he balled, and then I kept
3,
him.
you're right.
And then he had 2 more. First one injured all year, and I think he played a
Sure.
couple and got hurt again. But
Anyhow,
yeah, anyways, let's move on. I'm going Arizona. You go in
Cleveland.
Cleveland.
I
okay.
think Baker's top 10 quarterback this
he
week.
can be, but I'm not.
And
I'm not rolling.
Not
with it.
discounting Kyle. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Both those defenses have been playing
Bad,
shaky,
yeah.
giving up a lot of points. I think it's another one of those high totals. So I'm starting a lot of people from across the board. Larry
Yeah, Larry Christian Kirk, I think
Kirk.
is a start.
got him on the waiver wire last week. CTE. Give me a break. Starting
Wow.
him.
Okay.
2 weeks ago. But anyhow, I do think Cleveland comes in and wins this game.
All right. Okay, let's
Cardinals
move on.
3-9-1.
Yeah, it's
One of
tough.
only 2 teams that have a tie this year. Anyhow.
Jacksonville, Oakland. I think this could be a big scoring game too. I mean,
Mhm.
Jacksonville hasn't looked great. Oakland hasn't looked great. Minshew Mania's back.
So, what do you think with Minshew? Are you starting a D.D. Westbrook?
Yeah, especially because DJ Chark is out.
Mhm.
He's not playing this week. So, yeah, I think DD is their guy. And then Chris Connolly. I think, he's someone that
Chris
you
Connolly.
could potentially pick up and
Very
play.
interesting play.
It is. It's tough. It's very tough. It's like, he's kind of like a Baker Mayfield to me. Like, I want to play him so bad, but I can't do it. I'd rather start a Darius Slayton or, like I said, Debo, even though Debo probably won't be on your waiver, or even A.J. Brown I'd rather play. But anywho, I think that DD's more safe. I think, obviously, Leonard Fournette is your boy. He's going to play. He's going to score probably 20 points for you. Gardner Minshew's, I was going to start him this week. I picked him up. Was going to have him start.
And let's not forget, Dylan was Minshew's
Sold.
biggest fan
Sold.
coming into his
I
starting
started him.
run.
He was my quarterback in all my leagues when he was doing his thing. Dropped him in every league after that bye week because he got denounced, the starter or whatever, demoted. And, obviously, luckily, he was able to grab Winston. And he's led me all the way up to this point. Now I have Tannehill. So, once again, I think that it's going to be tough for me to start Minshew over Tannehill or Minshew over...
What about Minshew or Derek Carr? Which quarterback in that matchup would you be more comfortable playing?
Minshew.
Okay.
I'd go Minshew.
I think this is Oakland's get-back game. I think they win this game. They're playing at home. They got Josh Jacobs coming back, which I'm so surprised about. He had a fractured shoulder. Now MRI says
that's
really
why it's
good.
Worried. I hate starting people that come back to injuries like that, because he gets hit in the shoulder once, he could be out.
Yeah.
But
I think with that week out, he obviously is feeling good. He's coming back and getting a run like a bat out of hell, but no doubt, just like Geis did last week.
James Conner.
He
came back too early.
Boom, out. Guys, I feel so bad, man. That guy's just never, ever, ever. I hope he does. I shouldn't say never. I think, hopefully he does have a full season one of these years, but show what he really can do. But, and did you see that? He called out Darnell Savage on Twitter or Instagram.
No, I didn't.
He called out Darnell Savage saying that was a cheap shot. You know my knees are bad, and you went right for him. And then Darnell Savage tweeted back saying like that I've never injured any player my whole career. So sorry this had to happen. Like yada yada. And so Darius Geis was taking shots, but Darius Geis shortly after deleted the tweet. But anyhow, that sucks. Darius Geis is a beast, and
dude, when someone's running at you with that speed,
and you look at him like in the picture, they have a picture of the tackle, and Savage, is at his knee and below area. Geis looks so much bigger than him.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, what what are you supposed to do? No option, but it does suck. Like it's I remember running the ball as a receiver and getting so mad at people going away. He's just calling him all the names in the book, being so mad. But
it's football, man.
It's football. That's how it goes. Any way, shape, or form besides the face mask or an illegal tackle or something, they're taking you down. But anyhow, I do think that Oakland gets his game back. I love Waller. I started Foster Moreau last week. He put up over 10 points. Not saying I would do that again.
Or I'm sorry, Tyrell Williams.
Yeah, I think he has a decent game.
Hunter?
I just like, I don't know. I don't want to say everybody, but I do think that they put themselves in a position to win this game, and I think Waller and Josh Jacobs have a big part of that, obviously. So I got Oakland winning this game.
Okay, I got Jacks.
All right. Interested to see what Minshew can do, no doubt. But without Chark, I don't think they're going to win this.
Minnesota, LA Chargers. Ooh.
I want to say Minnesota loses. I want to say Minnesota shits the bed, but realistically, their run game is so solid. Chargers have been playing not good. We just saw a picture of Cam Newton in a Chargers jersey.
They've just been super inconsistent. Some games they look great, some games they look terrible. And Minnesota's been hot.
They could realistically have a top 10 pick next year if they keep losing the Chargers.
Crazy.
So hey, they could end up with one of these top quarterbacks next year, which would be realistically they're one of their best options, I think.
Phillips on planning
for their future. They have such talent on that offense. Look at what that run game can do. I think the Chargers, you can start that backfield all day. I'm always starting Keenan Allen, and I love Mike Dub Williams. I'm starting all four of those guys in my leagues. No, if I need to. So, obviously, though, it's weird to think that because I don't like Phillip Rivers, but yet he's still going to get the ball to them, and
they're playmakers.
And at the end of the day, though, I do think they lose this game at home to Minnesota because Minnesota's looking hot. And on the other side of that,
back too.
Thielen.
Are you going to play Thielen?
I would be more comfortable playing Diggs. I think Thielen is a perfect someone. A person they have to focus on now to open up Diggs' game. But I think, once again, they just rely heavily on that run game and try and pound that ball and try and run themselves out of LA with a win. So, and they need it too, So that's where I'm at.
Cool. Yeah, I pretty much touched on all of it. You have your must starts and your questionable starts. I think Thielen's the most questionable out of all of them because he can ball. Mm-hmm. Usually he does ball, but coming back from injury, he tried that 1 week and got sent back. So that's what worries me. Truly worries me.
Any given time for those.
So I want to see him
hamstrings,
go
man.
through one game, get through it.
That's where I'm more comfortable with Diggs. But if you have him going in championship week like Matt does, and he's gets through a whole week this week, you're really happy going into the championship week with Thielen in your lineup. So it's a good guy to have.
So you're going Minnesota. I'm going LA. Always repping. Atlanta at San Francisco. So I think that Calvin Ridley's out. He's done. No more Mohamed Sanu.
Julio still hasn't put it together. I mean, obviously defenses are owning in on him.
Especially now. The only issue that I can see happening is no Richard Sherman this week. So does someone in San Fran's D step up to Julio? I don't know.
No.
I don't think so.
I think Julio finally
probably have to
get
double
to
team
a win.
But I do think I'm starting San Fran's defense across the board.
Okay.
Atlanta gives up a ton of sacks. So San Francisco gets a ton of sacks.
Mm-hmm.
They may not have Richard Sherman, but they got that defensive line. Nick Bosa still there.
Backup corners that have been stepping up this year.
Oh, dude, their defense looks great.
And Richard's really going to fire these guys up saying, let me see.
Sure.
He's
a great leader. He's a great motivator. So, he really elevates his teammates.
Sorry about that. I think if you have San Fran's D, there's no way you don't start him. I think at this point they've proven what they can do. So
offense, Jimmy G, great matchup.
Yeah,
I'm playing against them. I hate that.
So you can't start them all, but over Emmanuel or Debo, who would you play?
Once again, Debo has been consistent. Emmanuel hasn't.
He hasn't, but man, Emmanuel's definitely got the bigger point upside of the two. It seems like
I don't know.
To this point. 32 last week.
Yeah, he had a great week, but once again, Atlanta's corners are bad. Emmanuel, he's probably not going to play as many snaps against a team that they know they're going to beat. They want him to stay healthy for playoffs. So I could definitely see
Debo,
him.
Huh? They don't need Debo, huh?
No, they need Debo. They need him all the time.
Because he's injury prone too. He's
this year. He's been balling. He's been solid. He's been a staple.
He's still, though, I've seen him get banged up. Bro. He's just a beast.
He's a beast, dude.
He'll come back.
Unbelievable. Like, when he touches the ball.
But, with that being said, you think they're going to shred Atlanta?
I think they're going to shred Atlanta.
So, does that mean that their receivers realistically do that well, or are they going to rely heavily on Mustard and the rest of their guys to just get out of there?
I think they're literally going to throw 3 touchdown passes, get up big, and start running. So I do think that Jimmy G has a good game. I think Debo, I think Emmanuel Sanders, even maybe Kendrick Bourne might catch a couple touchdowns because he's just catching touchdowns left and right.
We don't even need to talk about Kittle. And flipping to the Atlanta side, though, so with them being down by so much with your prediction, you got to play Julio.
Must start. Hooper must start.
And I love the Hooper coming back right in the playoff time. It's a great time to plug him in.
Devontae Freeman, because they're throwing him the ball out of the backfield.
I don't think if you have Devontae, you cannot not start him, and he's playing. But then what about Gage? Their other wide receiver. They're out Calvin.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
They're going to be playing from behind in your prediction. So you're not playing. You're only playing Julio and Devontae.
He might have a lot of targets. He'll get you 10 points. Maybe a touchdown if you're lucky, but I don't even know if he's going to do that. So I probably wouldn't. I'd rather start. Once again, like a Slayton or Slayton's he's going to be killing it this weekend.
So looks like you got San Fran, easy win. Yeah. They're at home. I'll probably take that too.
All right, big game next. LA Rams at Dallas.
You take the whole floor.
All right, I got this. No problem, man. Bobby Woods must start for me. He is so hot right now. Unbelievable. I mean, last week we barely saw Brandon Cooks. Heck, we barely saw Cooper Kupp. Of course, Cooper Kupp making a big impact when he's in there. Touchdown, 14 points, 15 points. I'll take that all day. But Robert Woods is hot as can be right now. I do regret not trading Matt for him when he was like trying to pawn him off for nothing. I do think Todd Gurley balls again. It's the Todd Gurley season. Todd Gurley is now going to be taking over that backfield again.
Todd Gurley time, definitely not the season. Oh, it's the season, I guess. You're right. He's become seasonal, and this is his time to blossom.
Yeah, no, it was a great investment. If he wins me a championship, I'll keep him for life. Anyways, Jared Goff, I do think he's the start as well. Dallas is just, I don't know what's going on over there in Dallas. They just are all over the place.
Would you consider sitting Dak? I mean, Rams defense played on another level last week.
Yeah, no, it depends on who you have other than Dak. Like, I've got Dak and Tannehill.
I was just going to ask.
I'm gonna start Tannehill.
Yeah.
Just because, well,
But you're
once
also
again,
being biased.
I'm probably being a little biased, but at the same time, like I've started Dak every week up until these last couple of weeks, But
Mhm.
I do think it will be Rams are going to score. Dallas has to score to stay in it. They're at home, so they probably will get going a little bit, but it just all depends on how the Rams defense plays. If Jalen Ramsey shuts down Amari Cooper, they have now Gallup, who I think Gallup has potential to do well this week with Amari getting locked up by Jalen.
Mhm.
Troy Hill's been playing well, but he's not
At that level.
No, he's
And
not.
Gallup is
He
a
is.
baller.
He is.
So I
And
think
he's
Gallup
getting
has a
fed.
week, honestly.
I do too. And Zeke, I think you can't turn away from Zeke.
Never.
The Rams' run defense is not the best, you know?
But damn, they can turn it up, and it's crazy.
Especially,
It's
their
not.
D line is.
It's not as good on paper as what I mean, anybody should feel
Well,
like it
yeah.
should be.
No, I think that. But you look back a couple of weeks when they played the Ravens, and it looked like the worst defense in the league.
Exactly.
So that's what's really scary about the Rams' defense, especially being in Dallas. Dallas needs a win. We need to win. It's a huge, huge game. But yeah, I probably would play Zeke. Like I said, if you have Amari, then it's how do you sit him type of
Mhm.
thing. But I do feel comfortable with like a Debo. But who knows? I probably end up throwing Amari in my lineup Sunday morning, but we'll see. Anyways, yeah, I think it's you start your players.
But Dill, Cooper, for the people out here, are you starting or are you sitting him?
Cooper Kupp
No, Amari Cooper.
at this moment in time, he's on my bench. He's sitting. Amari is one of those players that when they need him, he does well. When it's big time, big game, he's stepping up.
Steps up.
He's their big play guy. So I do think that there is chance for him to score. Like last week, 20 points, whatever. He had nothing until the fourth quarter. Nothing. I'm
Steps
sitting there.
up.
I stopped watching the game. I'm like, I'm done. I look at the thing the next day. He's got 20 points for me. I'm like, how am I going to turn away from this?
Seriously, that's why to me it's crazy that you would even consider putting him on your bench.
Jalen Ramsey is
But
the
Jalen
reason.
Ramsey, but
And
you
his
you
hurt-
know
he's
for a
being
fact
hurt.
Jalen's gonna shadow him the entire game.
It's the rumor
'Cause
around town.
Is it? Because I feel like Jalen's been sitting on one side a lot this
It
season.
depends,
He
because
hasn't followed a lot of
He
receivers.
had. He's followed top tier. He
Who-
followed
who
Julio.
Was
He
who
followed
was
Julio.
he just playing? It was that Okay, the Ravens. That's who it was. Remember though, he wouldn't. I
They
guess,
don't have any
I
difference.
guess they
maker,
don't.
though,
They don't
you
have
know?
that star receiver, but
Yeah.
he was only playing to one side of the field in that game. But it makes sense. They didn't have a DeAndre Hopkins or, for this matter, Amari Cooper. But we'll see. If Jalen Ramsey doesn't stick with Amari Cooper, that's sad. He should.
He will. He will. But Amari hasn't been a full-time player these last few weeks, and that's the biggest concern to me. Like they're obviously trying to keep him healthy enough, but he's not fully healthy, and so he's scary. At any given moment, he can get hurt, and I need to play more safe. Or not safe, but I'd rather play a player that's going to play the entire game or has a better chance to play the entire. Like Deebo Samuel, he's in there every single play.
Yeah.
Every single play, and they're running the ball with Deebo Samuel.
Mhm.
They're doing.
He'll
all
be that single receiver set. It'll
Yeah,
be Debo too at times. So I
So
hear you.
anywho,
So you got Rams, obviously.
yeah, all day, always rooting for the Rams, and it's going to be a tough matchup, and there are instances that I do see Dallas taking this, but if Rams play like they did last week, I don't think they're beatable. I don't think they can be beat. So,
And if if Eagles win and Cowboys lose, the Eagles would take their spot. The Rams are still in the same spot because of that. So the Rams have to just continue winning and hope that the Vikings,
Lose.
like you said at that point, lose just one game even.
one, and even if the Seahawks lose 2 games, Rams have a chance at even jumping them.
Wow.
So,
But that's nuts. Like it just sucks that the Eagles and Cowboys, even if they both
mhm,
it
win the division.
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
But so anyhow, for me, I would love to give Dallas the edge because they're at home, but with Rams looking as good as they did last week and Dallas the last 2 weeks just really not putting together great games, I'll give you that. I'll take the Rams too. Away, they need to win out, and I think obviously not that I think they know that. I know they know that, and I don't think they're going to let themselves lose. They're going to fight this to the end, and there's so much shit going on in Dallas. Like,
Yeah,
dude, if they lose this game, Garrett could
Who
be
knows?
done.
Yeah, who
Garrett
knows?
really could be done. This is too big of a game to lose for either side. So, interesting. It's going to be a really good one. I'm torn. I really am.
they'll be watching that Philadelphia-Washington game closely
100%.
up until their game. And, I think if Philadelphia wins, it'll put more pressure on them, so they might, have a little more to fight for. But if Philadelphia loses, they're in the mentality, we're still in it, and they could just come out soft. Who knows, Anyways, let's move on to the next game. This is a huge game as well. Buffalo at Pittsburgh.
My goodness.
Huge game. Sunday Night Football. Devin Hodges at the realm. Obviously Juju's coming back. James Conner coming back. James Washington been playing well. Deontay Johnson balled last week. I mean,
yeah,
they're playing well, and their defense is playing even better. Like their defense is on fire.
And we're talking about if the Titans win this week, they're jumping probably whoever's losing in this. Maybe not actually. They still have to win out. I'm sorry. But it'd be interesting actually if the Steelers lose and the Titans win. They're in that spot. So Steelers must win for them, honestly, and they're playing at home. So I do like that. But like we talked about, Buffalo's defense is really good. This could be a low-scoring game. But Josh Allen is obviously a savage. But, dude, he's let me down the last 2 weeks.
One.
Is it one? One, but it was a rough one. It was a
really
rough one.
And I'm in that predicament. I have him in CT, and I want to play him so bad. But Pitt's defense has been great. They really have, especially at home. So it's one of those things, like, it's hard to bench the top 10 quarterback. It really is. But at this time of the year, I think the best position to stream is that quarterback position because there are those great matchups.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Like, dude, I know it's crazy, but I'd probably... I like what's his face? Locke a lot. Like his matchup is really good. It'd be interesting if these defenses really both hold their own. Locke could seriously have better stats than either of these guys. But obviously Hodges hasn't done much.
It's a defensive battle for sure.
Hodges is never scored more than 14 fantasy points the last 2 weeks, I should say, or 3 weeks that he's played. But I got Buffalo coming in and probably winning this game in my opinion, and going with a 10 games they've won this year.
It's tough. I'm rooting for Buffalo. I love what they're doing. I love what Josh Allen's doing. Pittsburgh, I think they're playing great D, but if they make the playoffs, I think they're just going to get beat by whoever they're playing, because they'll be playing more in a more experienced quarterback or whatever it may be. And who knows, they might not. But, I would take, Buffalo over Pittsburgh all day, especially because Buffalo will probably be playing. Or who knows, man, that division, or I guess not, because Baltimore could lock it up tonight. And New England can lock theirs up pretty quickly, too. But what is Buffalo behind the...
Buffalo's 9-4.
Only one game behind Patriots, so Buffalo could technically win the division still and get a bye week.
Exactly. So this is huge for them, and we know Josh Allen's is absolute dog. He's obviously a competitor, and he's got such a supporting cast, dude.
Yeah.
Obviously, Devin Singletary a start. I'm starting both receivers, John Brown and Cole Beasley, the white rapper, the white chocolate. That man's a beast, and that's about it on that offense, but I'm comfortable playing all those guys, honestly, and I think this is a must-win. Obviously, like we talked about, they're one game away, and they're having a bye week in the playoffs. The Buffalo, Bills, they just don't get enough attention, so I'd be excited to see this game and them get a dub.
There definitely was a lot of haters on Josh Allen coming out of college.
Oh,
so he's definitely proven a lot of people wrong, and I think Buffalo takes this one. I think it's gonna be a tough, hard-fought battle. But, Josh Allen, I think, is just a better player than Hodges. Mm-hmm. But Hodges, is winning, obviously with the defense.
It's that defense. So it's going to be, I think this is a low-scoring game, honestly. But it's going to be a chess game and who kicks the last field goal or something like that. So
could be a big field goal game. Mm-hmm. Boswell and Hashka.
No doubt. Anyhow, so I think we both got Buffalo.
Yep.
All right, let's move into the last game of the week.
Last but not least, we got Indianapolis at New Orleans. Let's start with Indy. T.Y. Hilton not playing. What do you think about Zach Pascal? 20 points last week.
Yeah, he's a beast.
20-plus points the week before.
I like him more than...
New Orleans' defense hasn't been great. They really haven't. So
Lattimore, it's I don't know if he's playing, but...
I think he is. And he might follow him, so that is a tough matchup,
Yeah. Which would definitely change things for me. If Lattimore is on Pascal, that changes a lot. But I've liked Pascal all year for that matter.
He's a good player.
Marlon Mack is back. The Marlon Mack attack. I think he scored last week. I would definitely be playing Marlon in this matchup.
Yeah, no, Marlon Mack for sure. Jack Doyle, it's a great matchup for Jack Doyle. They've been getting shredded by tight ends, so I would play Jack Doyle. Zach Pascal, like I said, it looks pretty good on paper. So if you're desperate for a receiver, I would play Pascal. Like I said, I threw him in my lineup last week, and I was happy about it. Brissett's one of those middle tier quarterbacks. I definitely would rather play like a Tannehill over Brissett. I would probably rather play like Jameis over Brissett.
Okay.
Kirk Cousins, I'd probably play over Brissett.
Really?
Yeah.
I think Brissett has a bigger game than Kirk this week.
So, I think he's a bottom tier quarterback more than the top tier quarterback.
But hey, it's tough to start Brissett for sure.
Especially with no T.Y. If T.Y. was playing, I think it's a different ballgame.
But how about Drew Brees coming off a 40-point game,
he's a must start.
Come on. Forget about it. That was incredible. Obviously, you're starting a lot of people on that offense, clearly. But Alvin Kamara in a touchdown drought right now, which definitely is worrisome, I think it might continue, too, just because of how that offense is so pass-heavy right now. And Latavius Murray is obviously getting some work on the ground.
Yeah, he is. He's running hard, and he's playing well, and obviously MT, Michael Thomas all day. Other than that, Traquan's kind of come on, but there's really it's tough to say who's going to play, or who's going to do well. You got your must starts, but there's a lot of questionable other players that Drew just spreads the ball around, Finds the open guy and he throws it. So,
Colts defense has been pretty solid.
Really solid.
And it's one of those games where, we just saw Drew Brees go off, and we could very well see, this game be more of a run game, and them like we talked about, Jacoby Brissett has, lower tier, and I just could maybe see this being a complete opposite type of game than we saw out of Drew Brees last week due to the defenses, and they both could step up and get a lot of sacks. And
they do play well at home. That's the big thing about New Orleans, is they play very well at home. So, I do think that they probably end up taking this just because they're hot. They're hot, and they want to, especially coming off of such a last-second win last week, or loss. It sucks for them.
That was a thrilling game.
It was incredible. One of the best
game of the year,
if not the best. Yeah.
So, anyhow, so that'll be an interesting matchup. I think I think I have to give the edge to Nola at home.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think Jacoby pulls this out. So that's what I got.
Yeah, me too, man. And that's about it. Obviously, those are all the matchups for the week. I guess that's not it. It's been a nice hour, 20 minutes with you. But
it's been a while since we got in here, so we had to catch up a bit.
Yeah,
and
man, just talking about the teams, it's hard not to just
dive in.
Yeah, keep going.
So we hope, hopefully we gave you some insight to what maybe you should do and some decisions to make. But we're going to continue bringing the heat. The rest of the playoffs, no doubt, there ain't too much of it left, but we'll at least put something out for you guys. And then I can't wait to jump into this off season. And you know how that's my favorite time of year. It's Christmas, all off season for me. Between free agency and the draft, and we're going to be at the scouting combine this year. So we're going to be doing live from that. But enough chat. I can't wait to get to it.
Yeah, no, always a great time.
Pleasure,
playa.
Pleasure, players.